Now we're going to break it down to learn about the branches of government that we have in the United States. We got three. We got legislative, executive, and judicial. Now real quick, I'm going to teach you something real quick and easy to help you remember what each branch does. So the L in legislative stands like for the L in laws. Okay, so L for legislative, L for laws. Executive, E for executive, is like the CEO, right? A CEO runs a big business. They're the man or woman in charge, just like the president. Okay, the president is the CEO of our country. J for judicial, J for judge. The judicial branch, they're running our courts. They're making those decisions. So now let's find out more in depth about what each branch of government does. So in the, well, let me go back a step further. So we have different levels of government. Remember before when I told you about that federalism concept, how we got local governments and then we got state governments? Okay, so let's see what that looks like with these branches. So when I write federal up here, that's like national, okay? That's what we have in DC, okay? And then we have state. And our state is the lovely state of Maryland, okay? And then we have local, okay? So at the federal level or the national level, our legislative branch is called Congress, okay? And Congress is divided into two parts. We have the House of Representatives, going back to that first, that form of democracy, right? The House of Representatives, they're people we pick to represent us and speak to how we feel on that national scale in that legislative branch. The other half of Congress is the Senate. They're doing that also, but what's the key difference between the Senate and the House of Representatives is that each of the 50 states, no matter how big or how small, they each get 2 representatives. House of Representatives, they're 435 total, and they get divvied up depending on how big your state is. So California, because they got a lot of people, they got a lot of people representing them in the House of Representatives. Now, Rhode Island, not so big, right? They're not going to have as many people. On the state level, we have the General Assembly. Now the General Assembly is also divided up between the House of Delegates and the State Senate. Very similar to how Congress looks on the federal scale. And then local governments, in Baltimore City, we have the City Council. Now while these might all look different, they're all doing that L for legislative, L for laws. They're making our laws, thinking about how we can make the community that they represent a better place. Now you might say, can't Congress make all of our decisions? Why do we have to have City Council? Well, if we have a pothole on Park Heights and it's really just bothering everybody, Congress has a lot going on, right? They got the war, they got the economy, they got education. A lot of stuff is on their plate. And really, even though a pothole on Park Heights might affect us, it's not going to affect that whole country. So we would actually go through City Council at the Baltimore local level to try and make that happen. All right, so the executive branch, right, we have our head CEO is the president. Okay, now the president, they are responsible for kind of making sure our government runs. And they actually have 5 rules, which actually, if you want to check out the word wall, the red, they actually go the 5 that are across. So Commander-in-Chief is when the president is in charge of our armed services. Okay, that's making sure that we go to war, they're the Commander-in-Chief. Head of State. Head of State is when the president represents America. Okay? The Chief Diplomat is the president setting our foreign policy with other countries and making sure that our country is doing what he thinks, or she, we might have a she, someday. Chief executive, again, is running our government. And the chief legislator is, again, the one trying to set that government policy. So those are the 5 roles of the president in the executive branch. At the state, so now we're going to go back to what the executive looks like at the state level. At the state level, we have the governor, okay? And the governor is, again, being that CEO for Maryland. And last but not least, the person who's the CEO is the mayor. So again, if we had an issue that was affecting us directly in Maryland, right, we would go to the governor. But if there's a federal issue, a national issue that's going to affect everybody, you'd want to contact the president.